I have had so much with mine, it's just unbelievable. I'm
bother you
so
still?
glad. No.
Good.
And you know, the other
Call the February 22nd, 2024 Plan Commission meeting to order. Mr. Martinez, please call the roll.
Mayor Nelson
Excused.
is excused. Commissioner Hogan,
Here,
Commissioner Shogo,
Here.
Commissioner Haley,
Here.
City Engineer Morrow,
Here.
Alderwoman Day is excused. Commissioner Leon.
Here. We have quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minutes from the February 8th meeting. Commissioner Haley, I looked and I think they spelled your name right throughout, so
They're there, so I would move approval.
we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion on the matter? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't have to vote now that we have one more, right? All right, motion passes. Agenda item C1, this is a public hearing on the Gafar area exception. Mr. Martinez, if you could give us a brief description of this project.
Thank you. Good evening. This is an area exception application to allow for an increased lot coverage to allow for a proposed shed for storage. The proposed shed is approximately 10 by 15 feet, and it will be exceeding the maximum lot coverage of 25% in the R6 zoning district. The lot coverage is the maximum percent of the lot that can be covered with the structures. With the area exception, the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals, after recommendation of the Plan Commission, may approve up to 20% increase to the lot coverage. So this request falls within that allowable increase that can be approved with an area exception. So this is the existing lot coverage, that is the existing residence and attached garage, and the proposed shed is that additional lot coverage that requires the approval of this area exception. Per the subdivision plat, the River Park Addition Number 2, there are no natural resources on this lot, and the floodway that you see here is outside the subject lot. Staff has no objections to the increase to the lot coverage. However, during the review, an open enforcement case came to the attention of the Department of City Development. There is a case that is currently open for unpermitted work in the basement. This work is all internal, so it will not create an additional increase of the lot coverage. However, per the standard number 5 for area exceptions, that states that an area exception shall be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this Unified Development Ordinance. In a staff opinion, an open code violation is not in harmony with the intent of the Unified Development Ordinance. So even though the increase is within the allowable that can be approved with the area exception, staff recommends to table this application until the open enforcement case is closed. Another option could be to the Plan Commission to recommend approval with the condition that the open enforcement case should be closed prior to the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting that is the decision maker on this application. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. I believe we have the applicant here. So if you would like, you do have the opportunity to come up to the microphone. We will ask to give your name and address, to give a presentation on the application, but you're not required to do so. So would the applicant like to give a presentation? No. Okay. Then with that, any questions from the commission? City engineer, please.
So
for what it's worth, staff looked at it, and we don't believe that this would create any drainage nuisances, and it would comply with the building setbacks. My question is,
Don?
hello? So for what it's worth, my staff looked at this. We don't believe that this shed would create any drainage nuisances, and it would comply with the building setbacks. So is it appropriate to ask what the non-compliance issue is? Or is that,
It's unpermitted work in the basement. It's all internal.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Engineer. Mr. City Attorney?
What's the unpermitted work?
The case is not with the Department of City Development, it's with the inspection services, that the work was started without obtaining any building permits or plumbing permits, electrical permits through the inspection services department.
I see.
What's the unpermitted work?
Do we have the details of what's happening in their basement right now
I believe
that
it's
is not
saying-
permitted?
I believe he's saying they're building something, not that he's
It's my understanding there are internal alterations to the basement.
without a building permit.
Without a permit, okay, but we don't know the specific details of it. Okay,
That I don't know what all the specifics.
okay. Anything else?
So it's not as if there's some occupation, work, employment being done in the basement. It's just some remodeling of the basement.
Without permits, correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, Mr. Martinez, I believe you have a public hearing notice?
Notice of public hearing, City of Franklin Plan Commission. Meeting details, hearing dates Thursday, February 22nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Place, the Common Council Chambers of the Franklin City Hall, 9229 West Loomis Road, Franklin, Wisconsin, 53132. Proposal information, the applicant is Imran Ghaffar, property owner, subject property located at 5537 West River Park Court, tax key number 806-0340-000. Proposal, per section 1510-0209, area exceptions may be granted to increase the maximum lot coverage by no more than 20%. The applicant is seeking an area exception to allow for a lot coverage of 27.5% for the installation of a shed, exceeding the R6 maximum lot coverage standard of 25%. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the requirements of Section 1510-0209 of the City of Franklin Unified Development Ordinance. The legal description of the subject property and application materials are available and open for inspection by the public in the office of the Department of City Development at Franklin City Hall during normal business hours.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. We have a properly noticed public hearing, so we will now open for public comment. If there is anyone wishing to speak on this matter, we invite you to come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and give us your comments or questions. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, then again, please come up to the microphone. Is that microphone on, Mr. Martinez? Okay. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Srini, 8158 South 56th Street. So my question is for the city is, currently, as it stands, do you guys come and check if it's inside the property line or it's outside the lot line?
Do you mean the proposed shed?
Yeah,
Yeah, the location is here.
so it's going to be inside the lot line, right? It should be
Correct,
inside the lot line,
correct,
okay.
correct.
So once it's approved, the city will come and check it, right? Whether it's in the lot line or not?
If the area exception is approved, then the applicant will apply for a building permit with the inspection services department. And it's that department that will do the inspection, not the planning department.
The inspection in terms of if it's inside the lot line or outside the lot line.
Correct.
So
Mr. City Engineer.
I'd like to add to that. So the city, typically city engineering department, we do not go out and locate lot lines.
Okay.
An inspection department has to assume where the lot lines are. It would be up to someone to complain about it for us to follow up. So we don't regularly, routinely go out and check where the property corners are.
Because there's no lot lines to be clearly you can see it. As it stands now, it looks like it may be outside the lines. That's my concern.
Do you know where your property corner is?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you know where your property corner is?
It's not adjacent to my property, but my backyard kind of faces that, the ESO's that backyard. So, because I think typically the property lines and where those green boxes are, kind of those utility boxes. So this one seems like outside that line, so that's only concern I have.
Yeah. So to answer your question, though, the city does not routinely go out and measure.
Got it, okay.
So a question then, and I don't know who would be the proper staff here to ask, but although we don't do that routinely, for this exception, are we able to send out the proper department to verify that the proposed shed is within the property line and whatever standoff that there is?
No. And the reason why is I don't have a licensed land surveyor. And when I started working here, we got a letter from the Land Surveyors Association that told us we shouldn't be doing that. So we don't do that anymore.
So if the city receives a complaint from a neighbor to say that this shed or wherever else is example, how do we adjudicate that?
It would be upon the property owner getting the permit to show where his property corners are. And from that, we could stretch a line and verify it.
Okay.
But we don't go out and check it.
Got it, okay.
So could we then, and this question is probably the city attorney, require that the applicant do that?
Well,
Well, it'd be up to the inspection department to judge whether it looks like it's appropriate.
Okay.
So
So inspections department will go out there at some point in this process, or you said
they
would
will,
assume-
but they can't guarantee that they're measuring from the property line. They're going to make their best guess, but they won't
Okay.
guarantee.
Mr. Martinez.
however, the site plan submitted by the applicant, shows that it will comply with setbacks.
Okay. Site plan does show that it does.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Fuchs.
Well, I was just going to add that the shed appears to be, directly behind the house, pretty far back from the property line. So when inspection goes out, I think they'll be able to verify and see that it is generally in the location. And if they do have questions on if it looks like it is close or encroaching, then they may ask for verification. But I think the inspection department will go out and take a look and make sure. I think they'll be able to tell that it's generally in the location it's supposed to be and certainly on the property.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Fuchs. Any other questions, sir?
No, that's all, Councilman.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Please, ma'am, if you'd come up to the podium, give us your name and address for the record.
K-Man, 5701 West Cascade Drive. So I am on this map, but like down here. So that from my backyard, I can look up the creek and then I
We do
can
have on the screen now.
see,
Okay.
Here, approximately here.
down one more. Yeah, I'm there. Okay, so, but from where I look up in my back and look up the creek, then I'm going to be able to see that shed. Okay. My concern, though, is not that I can see the shed. My concern is that that area that was developed, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes that have like a common view of the creek, and it's like a big common area, even though they have property lines, okay? And I just feel like putting a great big shed right in the middle of that is just like an eyesore to your neighbors. I'll be able to see it too, but not like those people. And I would just think out of common sense, you just wouldn't, because then the next guy, they can all put all kinds of sheds back there. But, if he can legally do it, and I believe you have to be like 20 feet from the property line, the building, right? Is it 20 feet?
For this type of structure, the minimum setback is 5 feet.
5 feet?
For this type, because it's a shed that is 150 square feet, so the setback is 5 feet.
That's a very big shed, though.
Well, the information that we have is that 10 feet by 15 feet.
All right, thank you, that's all.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm curious, what is that structure? I believe that was your property. What is that structure behind the house?
That is,
I guess maybe that your property, the next property up, is that a shed?
okay, that isn't mine, but that's a screen house. So what you're seeing on mine is a swimming pool.
Okay, sorry, I had the houses mixed up. So
That's-
there is at least one shed in
Right,
that
it's not,
area.
it isn't a shed, though, it's a screen house.
Screen house,
And
thank you.
The difference is that between those two houses, that's all forested.
Okay.
And so when that person put up that shed, no one actually could even see that shed, and then unless they were in their backyard. You know, that's the difference than when you have all of these homes developed and they're all looking in the same space, you know, and they're all looking in the same direction. I'm just, you know. The other going down, those backyards are private. I mean, they're just more, nobody can even see that. But that's all I'm saying is it just seems to me that it's just going to be an eyesore. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Please come to the microphone, give us your name and address for the record.
Cindy Knippel, 5659 West Cascade Drive. I'm the person who has that screen house, so I just thought I would address that.
Okay.
The house, we got a variance for because my directions now, I think it's the northwest corner, was not a clear 90-degree angle, and when we applied for the permit, we had to get a variance to build that screen house. It is not a shed, it is a freestanding screen house with a concrete floor, wood frame, and screens, with a regular roof. So, like Kay said, that's about 20 years old. And at the time, a farmer owned all of that, and none of that subdivision was there. And they do have that, we do have like, I don't know, was it how many feet? I don't even know, but there's like wild, woods that, natural woods that were required to be kept there to help screen that also. So I'm just addressing what that structure was.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one rise, we will now close the public hearing on this matter. Questions from the commission? Mr. City Engineer.
For what it's worth, so were those ladies that just talked, if you look down to the south, I'm counting at least 3 sheds in those backyards. So for what that's worth.
So there are other examples of sheds
In the
within
neighborhood,
in the neighborhood. Okay. Thank you, Mr. City Engineer. Any other questions or comments from the commission? Do we have a motion? I don't see anything here.
A motion to recommend approval of an area exception to allow for an increased lot coverage of 27.5% for a proposed shed exceeding the R6 of right lot coverage of 25% for property located at 5537 West River Park Court.
Is there such a motion? Commissioner Haley, are you making the motion or you have a question?
I would make that motion conditioned on them resolving the internal basement work issue. That way it doesn't have to come back to Plan Commission.
And I do believe that was an alternate recommendation.
Correct.
The alternate for the staff would be that the applicant must resolve the inspections issues in the basement to move forward with this, okay?
Prior to
Prior,
the meeting of the BCBA.
prior to, which is March 20th, correct? I think so.
Yeah, that's the meeting date.
Yeah. So if this were to move forward, that would be the date that before that date, the inspections issue for the basement would have to be resolved, according to Commissioner Haley's motion. Mr. City Attorney.
Just
Okay.
to mention that normally enforcement cases may take longer than that. So
So it could get pushed back further to a later
whenever the
BZBA meeting. Okay.
yeah, whenever the case is resolved.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney?
What does resolve mean?
I mean that the complaint is closed by the inspection department. When the applicant obtained the building permits.
So, does it matter if the applicant prevails or loses on the subject of that? Or it just gets closed?
Mr. Haley, would you be amenable to the motion to successful resolution of the inspection services complaint? Not just that it's closed, but that it has to be successfully resolved? Is that the right language, City Attorney? Inspection,
Is it related to the shed?
personally, I don't think so. I think it's a separate matter, but it's not my motion, and I'm not voting on this. But I understand your question, so I guess I'm just asking Commissioner Haley, if the motion would be amended to the inspection
Resolved to the
services.
satisfaction of the building inspection department.
That's the motion. Is there a second on that? And Mr. City Attorney, is that acceptable?
Maybe it's just that the case is closed. But the case could be closed, but then you ask the building inspector, and the building inspector says, I'm not satisfied.
Commissioner Hogan?
Is he not able to build the shed until this is resolved? Is this what we're supposedly
That's-
voting on?
That's the motion as it stands, but
Which
that does not have a
I
second yet.
agree with the city attorney. I don't see what this has to do with the thing on the outside.
I tend to agree, but it's not my motion, that's Commissioner Haley's, so, and I think I understand, not just closed, but successfully resolved is the amended motion, or do you want to revert to just closed?
The memo says enforcement case is closed until the open enforcement case is closed.
You're going to leave it at just closed?
To the satisfaction of the building department, building inspection department.
City Attorney?
It's in that satisfaction realm again, too. Building inspection department could prevail, and the building inspection department says, I'm not satisfied. It was too much work or something that kid did.
Well,
So then he can't build the shed outside.
Right, he would not be able to build until then. So we have a motion, we do not have a second. Mr. City Engineer,
Can I ask a question first before I second it?
please.
So my question is, no, I guess not. I'll make, well,
Are you? So we have a motion, we do not have a second. Is there a second? Is there a second? Hearing none, that motion fails. We certainly have the opportunity to have another motion to have it without the closure of the inspection services department, which, again, I'm not voting on this, but that would be my recommendation, or to table the item to allow
So-
staff to discuss. Mr. City
I do have a
Engineer.
question. Okay, let me ask it this way. If the applicant doesn't do any more in his basement and there's still this open case, the inspection department has other avenues for enforcement, correct? They could issue a citation, or do they not have a closure to their citation process?
I cannot speak
Yeah.
for the
well,
Department of Inspection.
Maybe it's a leading question, but I would think that they have other avenues to enforce compliance with their rules and regulations that they have to enforce. So I guess I would say that construction of this shed, regardless if it happens or not, that the basement is an issue that the inspection department should follow up on and pursue under their venue. So I guess having said that, I'd make the motion as stated by the planning department.
So, okay. Yeah, Mr. City, Mr. Martinez, if you would please read the motion again.
A motion to recommend approval of an area exception to allow for an increased lot coverage of 27.5% for a proposed shed, exceeding the R6 authorized lot coverage of 25% for property located at 5537 West River Park Court.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Is there such a motion?
I made that motion.
Mr. City Engineer, is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Haley with the second. The chair is not voting on this. I don't know if we need to call the roll, but let's just do it for the sake of clearing up any confusion.
Commissioner Hogan,
No.
Commissioner Shogo,
No.
Commissioner Haley,
Yes.
City Engineer Morrow.
Yes.
So then the chair will vote to break the tie. The chair votes yes. So it passes and it would go before if I heard the motion right, let me make sure I did.
City Attorney, yeah, it's my understanding that it's 4 votes
Well, that's
to,
right. It's a 4-vote requirement for plan. So it doesn't pass.
So 3-2.
Wait, it's 3-2, that's 5.
It's 4 to 2.
But you have to have
Four
affirmative.
affirmatives.
4 affirmatives, so it fails. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Well, do we,
it's
Mr.
just-
City Attorney, are we good now that we've had the vote on it? Can we continue to discuss it?
It's just,
Can bring up a question. and
Okay,
answer.
yes, Commissioner Hogan, please.
okay, so how was the information with the basement stuff found out? When the people came, when he came to put in the application for the shed, our inspection department went to his home and they went downstairs?
Good. Yeah, good question. So when I first review the file, when I sent the comments, January 9, there was no open complaint. Then when I was working on the report for the Plan Commission, then I found the open complaint.
What kind of a complaint?
For unpermitted work in the basement
So there was a complaint filed
By who?
by inspection services or by
by a third
by
party.
a third party? Okay.
And is this just like 5 years old or?
No.
Weeks old.
It's recent. I mean, it happened when I prepared the comments January 9th. There was no complaint. When I work on the report, then I found the complaint in our system.
So it's a recent complaint.
Correct.
Recent complaint. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
So this, Commissioner Haley.
I'm just going to make the comment that just still needs to make an appearance in front of the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals.
So
So that
the
could be a
recommendation
final-
of plan is a recommendation to BZBA. BZBA still has the final decision on this, correct?
Correct. The decision maker is the BCBA.
Okay. So March 20th, I believe is the date, BZBA.
Can it go with no recommendation from the Plan Commission?
No recommendation or a negative? Because
It
it
is
only
what
had,
it is.
well, there was 3 in favor, 2 opposed, but it didn't have enough, so is
No,
that?
three against.
No recommendation.
Or, no, you're right, 3 in favor.
So no recommendation? Okay,
You can put the vote on there,
okay,
just the information.
okay. Any other questions or comments on this matter? All right. Seeing nothing else, we will move on to business matters. Mr. Fuchs, I believe you're giving a presentation on the Spellman. Do I have that name right?
Yes. The applicant is Spellman Trailers. They have an application for a land combination and a site plan amendment. They're proposing a building addition, and they'd like to combine 3 existing properties and a portion of right-of-way that the city previously approved. So that'd be combined into a single parcel. The building addition's about 1,115 square feet. They're also including a retaining wall, some minimal landscaping, and adding some green space to the site to compensate for the building addition. The addition will have stone, glass, siding, and ephes to match the existing building. The landscape surface ratio and why they're adding that green space to compensate for the building addition is they are under what's the this is the M1 district standard. Currently, the 3 properties are at about 17%. With the combination and the additional right-of-way that was vacated, that situation will improve. It will still be under the typical standard of 40%, but they'll be up to a little over 26%. So it is getting better. Staff did talk with the applicant about trying to add more due to their use, the historic operations of the site. It is difficult with the trailers that they have to maneuver through the site to add additional green space. So staff is recommending approval. There is a condition for common council approval of a signage and landscape easement in the corner of the property. There's a city sign, a landscape wall or retaining wall, and some landscaping. So that is to address that situation there. And then we also have the standard condition for final engineering department review and approval.
Thank you, Mr. Fuchs. I believe we have the applicant here. So would invite you to come up and give a presentation. I believe you have some easels as part of your presentation, so we will ask again for name and address for the record. You can come up to the table, you can use the podium if you prefer, whatever works best for you.
Elvin Spellman, 416 Abbey Lane, Burlington, Wisconsin.
Thank you, sir.
Just a brief history of our company. We've been in the Milwaukee area for 60, our dad purchased since 1968. Dad purchased this property in 1974, so we've been there 50 years. Our footprint and appearance has not changed in 50 years, except for a door on one of the sides of the building. So we're way overdue to expand our office area and our appearance. We're working on our third generation. Son and daughter worked for me for 20, 25 years. Fourth generation is coming up pretty quickly. I think this project, Leslie's got some pictures of what we're going to do, but I think it'd be a win-win for the city and certainly for us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And again, please just name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Leslie Sharpella. I'm with PSG. Our address is 448 Falcon Ridge Drive, Suite B, Burlington, Wisconsin, 53105. Just a little bit of background. We started in mid 2022 with the idea of needing to come up with an addition to meet the needs of the growing company. And in initial correspondence with the city, there was definitely some constraints with the existing site. We were not in compliance with setbacks. Our landscape ratio wasn't in compliance. And a lot of that was just because of the age of the building related to the age of the code. So in sort of problem solving our way through this, it was a good recommendation by the city that we look to get the right of way vacated. Spellmans were the only user of it. They'd been maintaining it for decades. It just kind of made sense for everybody. So we did complete that process last spring. And then the next steps associated with that were the land combination, which was a contingency of the right-of-way vacation. Primarily, my understanding at that time was to make sure that we weren't having any lots that didn't have access to them, as well as to clean up the just general zoning issues. So we did want to dovetail that land combination process with the site plan amendment process, because our whole objective this entire time is what gets us to where we can build an addition on the building. So let's try to be efficient with that. So that's why we've got both applications here in front of you today. The land combination, we had some very detailed and engaged dialogue with the city on that, on how to best approach that. It's like, if we want to prioritize the landscape ratio, we can do it this way, but then we can't necessarily meet some of these other objectives. So what are our primary goals? And it seemed like the consensus was that the best approach was to just combine all three lots with the right of way, knowing that we would take care of any setback issues. We would take care of any issues with lots that did not have a primary structure. And while our landscape ratio wouldn't be able to get all the way to what the current code is, our understanding was that we actually are exempt from that code at this point in time anyway, but that we would do everything that we can to add as much landscaping as we can while maintaining the operation. So with the site plan itself, Nick did a great job of just sort of outlining what we've got here, but we've got an 1,100 square foot addition on the north side of the property. As Mr. Spellman suggested, we're also just looking to elevate the general appearance of the property. So is it okay if I walk away from the
Please. Can we get a microphone from, just for the record?
Okay. Yeah, so right here, we've got, this is the elevation that you're going to see from Ryan Road. So we've got some masonry, we've got new ephes, and I've got samples of those materials here, some nice wood. So it's really going to warm up the current look of the building. This is the elevation along 60th Street. So we've been able to sort of do a continuation of what we've got with the existing building, but updating that, just giving that a little bit more of a modern appearance and also a nicer appearance. So this is the sample of our stone. This is the ephes that you're going to see along all the sides of the building. And then we've got sort of a wood composite that we're going to be doing along the top here to warm that up. And this is the revised entrance on this is the east side of the building. I'm sorry, that was the 60th Street side is the west side. So this is the east side of the building here, a new entrance. Again, using more of that wood composite siding. We've got lots of stone, a little bit of the same ephes, just trying to give this a more updated feel and presence. So our addition here is 1,000 square feet on the existing building. The site plan itself, our 1,000 square feet is right here. We have been able to add 1,000 square feet of green space right here. And we have also done just some general plantings and those kinds of things around the addition. Yes, our landscape ratio has improved. It was 0.17 prior to this. It's now 0.262. So we think that that's also a material improvement. And we do have a retaining wall here that is going to sort of mimic the one that the city owns right here. So same material, same feel. Pretty straightforward. But I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the applicant to give a presentation, or is that the conclusion? Okay, not seeing any of the other applicants rise. Questions from the commission? Mr. City Engineer.
So of note, my staff has been working with the applicant, and when this goes to Common Council, we do anticipate finalizing the easements for the landscaping, the signage, and the wall that she just referenced. So we will maintain that. For some reason, that was never given to the city way back when. It was just put on private property. Sometimes things happen. And then because they incorporated the new land, we're actually going to keep the pylon sign where it is. We'll just, but that'll just be in an easement.
Thank you, Mr. City Engineer. Anything else from the commission? I heard mention, are there two separate motions for this, or is it just one?
There should be two.
One motion for the site plan, one motion for the land
Okay,
combination.
if we could please get the site plan motion?
A motion to adopt a resolution amending the site plan for properties located at approximately 5921 West Ryan Road to allow for a building addition, subject to the conditions in the draft resolution.
Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. City Engineer. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Shago. Any discussion on the matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And now the land combination, please.
Just would like to confirm 4 votes, right?
4 votes, yeah. And I'll have a question after this next vote regarding the earlier vote.
A motion to recommend approval of a resolution to combine Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 4 of certified survey map number 1330 and vacated service road to the north into the single parcel.
Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Haley with the motion, Commissioner Hogan with the second. Any discussion on the matter? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Before we move on to adjournment, regarding agenda item C1, the chair only votes to affect the outcome. Since my vote didn't affect the outcome, should that vote be stricken? Sure. Okay, so for agenda item C1, it was 2-2 for the non-recommendation to BZBA in a couple of weeks. Thank you. Believe our next meeting is February 7th, correct?
March 7th.
Thank you, March 7th. So March 7th, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Hogan, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Haley, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.
I don't think that
Thank you.
he knew what happened, the guy that was here.
Well, it's still